And we're coming back to you live we're back in the music rooms.
Yay!
Woo! I'm Sonny, I'm Zach.
I'm Sean. Yay!
And episode 2 of season...
Oh my gosh,
sorry.
we're so excited about semester 2. Semester 2.
That's what I said. Semester 2.
Yeah, I'll just cut it. I won't actually. Everyone needs to see your mistake.
Wait. Semester. Okay, now just put that where it was.
I'm just gonna put it at some random point. It'll make no sense in context. It's just gonna be like there's something like semester.
Semester.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
That's okay, I'm fine with that.
Zach!
Yes.
I think I'm dying.
I think you were too. I'm a little concerned, Sean. I don't think I've seen you this dead inside. And that's
so
that's
weird.
saying something.
Because, like, I'm always tired. But, like,
Natural state.
I think it's more of, like, a mental exhaustion that I usually have. We now have the physical exhaustion to match it. Which is, like, making me poop my pants a little bit. So if you start smelling something, you know,
I'll just leave.
Just ignore it.
Just ignore it.
Just pretend it didn't happen. Because you're a friend and you won't make fun of
What
me.
if it starts smelling
You
really
won't make
bad?
fun of me. Zach.
But wouldn't a
You
friend...
won't make fun of me!
Sean, wouldn't a friend say something so you're aware?
I'm telling you right now, I would be aware if I pooped my pants. I just need you to pretend not to be aware. Because it'll make me feel better about myself.
Okay.
It's such a bad feeling.
That way you can be like, oh, maybe he doesn't know.
And you can feel the poop in your pants, and you're sitting, and it's just pressed against you, and you're like, man, everyone's gonna know. But if just, like, the one person who will know pretends not to know, then somehow I'll make it through this.
I can't relate. I'm sorry.
When was, Zach, when was the last time you pooped your pants?
Well, back when I was born.
I have this memory of, like, my very early childhood. I was probably like 4 or something. I don't know. But, like, there was a family party, and I think I just started wearing underwear. It was... Do you remember the story of me going to the principal's office? The only time I ever went, I picked out Spider-Man underwear and I showed it to someone, and that's why I went to the principal. Anyways, I was wearing that new underwear that I was really proud of. And I was walking with my brother outside, because we left the family party to go play outside, you know, and then I was like, why does it feel so heavy? So I have a memory of me in my childhood having pooped my pants and being, like, so ashamed. Like, I had to go I had to go to my mom, and I was like, and I can remember it, like it's pretty fuzzy, but, like,
You've been scarred.
I do remember it, and it just, anyways.
Oh my god.
I shouldn't be talking about this.
We're already back at the topic of poop, and we're second episode in.
I'm surprised it didn't happen the first episode.
I know.
Corby showed me, he texted me, you know, we have, like, the YouTube analytics app, and it just shows us, like, random data about our channel, which we don't look at very often, but he was looking at how most people, or at least how a good number of people find our channel is by typing in poop jokes into the search bar.
No.
I'm not even joking.
Are you serious?
I can't remember what the number was, but I was like, Corby, I've never been so proud.
I don't know whether to feel like proud of this moment or completely ashamed.
Did you poop your pants?
No, Sean!
No need to feel shame then.
Oh,
Don't worry
okay.
about
I mean,
it.
you on the other
I'm going to say
a little embarrassing.
that sound might transfer to there.
I hope so.
It'll be like ASMR.
We have to have some sort of background noise, Sean.
You're right.
I mean, we don't have our cars to go by anymore. Dude, that car was so loud. Look at that truck! Oh, no, that wasn't a truck. Never mind, that was just Sean.
Anyways, did you have something to talk about today?
I mean, kind of. It's not really amazing, but...
Every single episode. I mean, I kind of do.
So I was just sitting in my car listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go to class yet.
Yeah.
I had like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyways, I might get some of the facts wrong, but from how I remember the story, because they were telling a story that they heard, and now I'm telling a story that they heard from someone else, so you know, facts.
Okay, sure.
Anyways, it was so it was just the typical guy meets girl on dating app, blah blah blah. They go out on a few dates. Everything's going great, blah blah blah. And then like a month later, the girl's friend sends a message to the guy, like a screenshot to the guy, and the screenshot said something of along the lines of, "Aren't you and so dating?" Is like it was just a question, and then the girl answered. She was like, "No, not really, but as long as he keeps giving me free stuff, I'll keep going out with him."
Ooh.
Yeah, feels real bad, and so he sees this, and
Cries himself to sleep that night?
I mean probably,
Sure.
and then he hatches a plan for sweet revenge.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. So apparently he took her out to a like really expensive restaurant, like crazy expensive, okay?
Yeah.
And they ordered tons of food and like tons of alcohol and stuff. And then after the like 4 plates in, each plate's probably like $40, okay? Like crazy absurd.
Yeah.
And he says he has to go to the bathroom and he just leaves. He
Yes.
actually just leaves.
Man.
And he was her ride as well. So she is stranded at
That
this
tastes
restaurant. So the question they brought up is,
Tasty. Sorry, what?
was he was it acceptable for her to do that, or is he just a jerk?
Was he justified?
Yeah, was he justified or is he just a jerk?
I would say both. Frankly. You can be justified in doing something, but doing the thing still kind of makes you a jerk.
Mm.
You know? I wish I could come up with an example off the top of my head, but I can't. So...
Well, the funny thing is, I have like the same thoughts, but kind of different. Like my first reaction was, "What a semester!" Like when I heard that, I was like, "Dude, what a semester!"
Whoa!
But
Bleep,
then-
bleep it out, Sean! Oh my gosh! You can't say
Sorry,
that on this Christian channel.
Family friendly.
Not on my Christian channel. What the heck,
This guy
man?
is such a stupid monkey. Is that
There you-
better?
That's way better. Actually, that's
Perfect.
more offensive to me, but not to
Well, I
everyone
mean,
else, so I guess we'll go with that.
so, but then at the same time, right with that, I was like, well, she totally deserved it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, but then my first thought was like, okay, even though you might, like, most people would be like, yeah, she totally deserved it. It's like, I feel like you should just be the better person.
Mhm.
Because if you do that, you're no better than she is, right?
Mhm.
So.
It's like, aha, maybe a poor example. It's like Undertale at the end when you have the option to kill Flowey. Because he's been preaching to you, kill or be killed.
Yeah.
And so if you kill him, you're just the same.
Right.
So does it really matter that you mercied all those people if you just, in the end, kill the one that seems to be the most annoying? Is it really fair, or wow, my brain just farted so hard, man. Did you hear it?
Dude, I heard it. Oh my gosh. I just heard like the grinding.
Ooh, it's a struggle today. What was I gonna say? I was gonna take it back to that example. If you've spent this whole relationship talking about trust and you know, what a good relationship is, and then you find out that this whole time she's just kind of been playing you, then are you really the better person if you just go against all of those values to begin with? But to go on the other side of that, she had it coming.
Yeah.
I mean, to be frank,
it's like,
so
it's like you can be like, for me, it's hard to like one good deed after another. Like you're doing what you should be, but then it's like, does one mistake override everything else?
Remember last semester how we were talking about that the way to get into heaven is just a point system?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we talked about it on Spice and Nugs, but like it's just a point system. So like if you
I mean, you brush your teeth this morning +1.
if you kill someone, but as long as you do like
-10,
like hold the door open for someone else, then like that evens out pretty well.
Like,
so.
you brush your teeth 10 times, you can kill someone now because it will just go to 0.
Yeah,
like.
exactly. So yeah, you know, if we're working on that kind of system, then, whatever, man. It makes me think of, should I even say this because you haven't read Oathbringer?
Don't say it then.
Well, it's not.
If you have to think about it.
It's not a spoiler per se. It's about their oaths and how they're different. Well, okay, I'll go with the ones you know.
Be vague.
I'll go with the ones you know. Okay, so Kaladin is a windrunner.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
His entire, they're all about honor and protecting people. Okay, so the oaths, life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. I'll protect those who cannot protect themselves.
Yep.
And I will protect even those I hate, so long as it is right.
Mm.
Right? Where was I going to go with this? A conflict for him sometimes is deciding who to protect and if it is right. So all through Words of Radiance, no spoilers. Okay, all through Words of Radiance, although spoilers for anyone who hasn't read this.
It was like with the king.
It was with the king.
Yeah.
Right? So the whole book, basically it's coming down to his duty is to protect the king. He's literally the king's bodyguard. But his friend, Moshe, tells him the story of how the king was a jerk and accidentally basically got his grandparents killed. And so Moshe is looking for justice there. Kaladin has a duty, and he's sworn to protect the king. But which one is right? Thoughts? Because we know what he answered at the end.
So you say justice.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is that justice, though?
Mm.
Or is it just revenge? And is revenge ever right?
That's a good one. Is revenge ever right? The Bible says no.
Well, I don't know. I feel like just the word revenge implies that, like,
it's got
you were wronged, and so you're going to wrong them back.
Yeah.
It's like, you're getting even. It's like, okay, but...
Is it... Okay, well,
I don't think revenge is ever right.
Could I take this a step even further back than just revenge? But, like, is it ever right to hurt anyone?
Mm. Okay, so... or I'm going to go to anyone or anything.
Sure.
Just because... Dogs.
Yeah, okay.
Over Christmas break, we were watching my sister's dogs.
Yeah.
So there was... And then my brother came over to celebrate Christmas, so there was 5 dogs in my house.
Oof.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna lose my mind, okay?
That's loud.
Well, inside they're fine. But Rhea, Paige's dog, is a massive dog. She is a big dog.
Space.
And every time we would let her outside, she just instantly start barking.
Ballistic.
Yeah, and like you can yell at her, and she'll look at you, and then start barking again. And so I was like, my first reaction, I'm like, we need to get that dog a shot collar. I was like, we need to trade that freaking dog, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Okay.
And so I was like, so in that way, I would say yes, because
okay,
at least in that circumstance, like, to teach the dog a valuable lesson.
Okay.
Because how else are you going to teach it
to
a dog?
Let me run with this then.
Okay.
Because a shock collar is very... I'm in psychology, I apologize. It's a very behavioralistic approach to teaching someone or helping learning. Okay, so that's just conditioning someone. You're conditioning the dog. It now knows if it barks, it will get shocked. That's just... You do something bad happens, right, yeah. Or something good happens, and so you will train yourself not to do that. So then, and this is a scary question, but is it okay to do that to children?
No.
What about spanking? Because that's what that is.
Yes.
You think spanking's okay?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, you seem really sure about yourself.
Well, I'm not a parent.
Yeah,
so...
okay. That's fair. Let's put on our I know everything ties.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
Let's readjust those.
Oh, I feel like consequence is important, and you have to face consequences.
Okay.
You don't get to do whatever you want and then ignore the consequences. I feel like spanking is just a form of consequence, right? I mean, sure, there's people who absolutely think it's not okay, and there's some people who are like, yeah, sure, I mean, it teaches them discipline, right? I think sometimes I think the only way you learn is through failure, or like if you get hurt by doing something like touching the stove, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to do it again.
The classic example.
Yeah, so I'm split. Like, yes, like you should never harm others, but at the same time, maybe there's scenarios.
Okay, so I'm not gonna push you on that because that's kind of a heavy topic. So let's make it heavier.
Oh, good.
And I'll put this maybe in the context of the Way of Kings, I guess. Maybe. Um, maybe also real world. But is war ever justified?
Mm. I think in an ideal world, no,
No,
there would never be a war because
it's ideal.
yeah, well, like so many wars come from like different values and different
Just clashing.
yeah,
It's just people being different.
and people thinking that another way of life or is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing that is um it was in my public speaking reading that I did yesterday actually.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the phrase is called, but it's thinking that your way of life or your culture is superior to another's.
Yes. Um,
It starts with an E, that's all I
I know
know.
what you're talking about. It's okay.
And I feel like that's where so many problems come, right? Like you're like, well, I was raised this way, and so clearly my um, way of thinking and way of life is superior to anyone else's because it's what I was raised with, what I was born with, um, and what you were taught to believe, pretty much. Like in the West, we see like communism and stuff, and we're like, oh no, evil,
Man, the amount
leave.
of books I read in English classes about why communism is bad, and I'm just like, why am I reading this?
But then the same goes for them. They're like, oh,
It's
capitalism.
terrible.
And so, like one thing I've been thinking a lot of recently is I feel like um there has to be a balance in all things. Like you have to have moderation in everything. Like too much of anything is going to be bad, I think. So like it's like too much money. For example, it like leads to greed. It leads to corruption, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the other time, if you're poor, like
That's not cool.
you have to live, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I feel like this was a big thing for me last semester, which is thinking on the topic of like um, moderation and stuff like that. But it's just like I feel like too much of anything's bad, but so there has to be a balance. Like there has to be a middle ground of anything. So it's like when it comes to but then like when I put that to like hurting others, I'm like no, you shouldn't hurt others.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but I want to train this dog.
I think as people, we want there to be an absolute.
Mm.
We want there to be, this is the right way to do it. It is the only way to do it. And if you do it this way, it'll be wrong. Right? Or just a black and white, this is correct, this is not correct. Do this one, you're good, right? But I feel like everything in life is much more subjective than that. Much like our discussion on art and how people, like it or not. It's just like, you may like something or you may believe something, and in your context, that works great. But
you don't know the context.
Move you to somewhere else, and it's just going to be a disaster.
Yeah. It's like in English, actually, just barely, we were talking about absolutes because we were talking about like when you're writing a paper, a lot of times it's just better just to avoid an absolute and be like, well, most of the time this leads to this, because like if you say 100% of the time this always is going to happen, there's always going to be something like, well, what about this situation, right? So like you can try and like argue all those points, or you can just avoid the absolute altogether. And I feel like just going back to culture, like absolutes are what cause so many issues, because it's like right now in the U.S. is like abortion or in the recent past gay marriage, stuff like that. It's like you get proposed with like it's either right or it's wrong. Absolute. There's like nothing else.
So I guess the key here is to be able to throw yourself in someone else's shoes and avoid your own bias, or accept your own bias, but also be able to look at people from different views.
Right, just like think, like you have to think critically and be like, okay, I think this, but they think this, but why do they think this? And why do I think so and so? And it's like,
gotta punch that why in the gut.
So going back to the original topic of was that man justified?
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? That conversation made it a whole lot worse.
I know.
It made a much more difficult question to answer.
I think my answer is still the same, that he shouldn't have.
Yeah,
Just because you have, like,
I think
you have to be the better person.
I think the greater lesson for her would have been if he just had a conversation with her and then moved on.
Oh, well, see, the problem with that is, I feel like she really got the message from what he did,
Yeah.
and that hit her hard.
Or she just thinks he's a jerk.
That too.
Because now they're both
Now they both hate each
they're
other.
both the
it's like-
victims and they're both the enemy.
So I still think he shouldn't have done it, but there needed to be some way to.
There needed to be a consequence.
Yeah, there had to be the consequence and be like, look, what you did was not okay.
So he did the right thing, but maybe in the wrong way.
Mm.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, so like it's like, does the ends justify the means, right? It's like
even
he
if
wanted to.
I feel like even if he'd given her that full meal and instead of saying I'm going to the bathroom, he just said we're done. I feel like that would have helped just a little bit. I'm not sure, like a ton, and I'm not even sure how I feel about it completely. But like, I feel like that would have helped slightly. Do you disagree with that?
I feel like I just would have made an argument, to be honest.
That's true.
And then you make a scene and it might get worse. But I feel like one thing that is really important that like nobody does, I feel like. So I try to do it, is admit when you're wrong. Because like nobody likes to be wrong.
Yeah.
And so when you get called out, you're instantly on the defensive and you're like, whoa, no. Like,
yeah, you're trying to throw it at someone else.
Yeah, then you try and throw the blame to someone else and you avoid it. But I feel like when you just admit you've done something wrong and admit to something, not only do you grow as a person, but you avoid so much conflict as well.
And everyone's able to just kind of move forward.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah.
But the problem with that is like I feel like she knows what she was doing was wrong, and
she's okay with it. Is really the issue.
Goes to morals, I guess, with that. But man, I didn't think we'd have so much to talk about a story I heard on the radio.
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, throw us what your thoughts are about.
Was he justified in what he did?
Was he justified?
Is Zach a terrible person for wanting a shot collar for a dog?
Or for being okay with spanking?
Well, undecided on that one still, I suppose.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll have to wait till I'm a parent.
So like next week, right?
What? I have a few steps before that, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, you go to IKEA, you buy the kit.
Yeah.
You build the baby. So there's some steps.
I mean,
but
I have to get in the car, make it to IKEA, find the time to put it together.
Which we all know is going to take a couple weeks.
I mean, I'm lazy, John. If there's no due date, then,
They give you like 18 more wrenches than you need, but not enough screws. IKEA jokes. I don't even know why that... Anyways.
Oh man.
IKEA jokes, right? Am I right, guys? Am I right?
I mean, it's the highest form of a joke.
Hashtag relatable.
It's like IKEA jokes, parallel with poop jokes. And then everything else is just way under.
So yeah, go ahead and search up poop jokes and see if Spicy Nuggs comes up.
I mean, we talked about it again, so we probably will.
But I would recommend signing out of your Google account first, so it doesn't remember that you typed in poop jokes. So
just do incognito.
Yeah, do the incognito, so it doesn't think that you want more of that.
Just your recommended feeds,
just full of poop jokes. Poop jokes will keep you laughing for hours. Well, that's all that's in my feed.
It's already that.
You want to know the channels I'm subscribed to? Let me list them off. Poop Jokes United. Poop Jokes International. Poop Jokes Utah.
Poop Jokes Utah.
Poop Jokes Lehigh. It's a big organization. No one really knows about it, but it's huge. It's like worldwide. Yeah. Poop Jokes South Africa. That one is a little tougher because there's lots of different languages and I don't get them. But the way you say poop in South Africa, in Xhosa, is ah.
The more you know.
That's not true.
You just lied to the whole internet.
I do that all the time. I mean, end the episode. End the episode.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm still Sean.
We'll see you next time.
Speaking. Everybody loves to speaking. Everybody loves to speak.
If I had to make an educated guess, Sean,
Yeah.
I think you might be a little tired.
I will
Just a
kill you
tad.
if you keep bringing that up.
Well, I mean, if
I-
you keep bringing it up, I'm hoping it makes me more tired.
So you can't do that though. If I get more tired, I will die.
You will die physically
Yeah.
or mentally. Or
Yeah.
both.
Well, if you die physically, unless you're talking Brandon Sanderson lore, if we're in the Way of Kings,
I mean, or we could be a duelist.
we're talking about the cognitive realm. Do you know what that means? That's okay.
I've heard them reference it.
Yeah, Shadesmar.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
cognitive realm.
I know nothing about it though.
That's okay. It's the realm of the mind. Jessa gives a great explanation of that at the beginning of Words of Radiance. But, like, if you don't know what you're reading about, it's kind of like, what are you saying? And then Sean's, like, drawing out, like a glyph because she's like, this is blasphemous. So you're kind of like, okay, this is just
Blasphemy.
That's true, though. So
Well, clearly I need to go back and read that then.
Have you finished Warbreaker?
No, Sean!
Dude, there's so many references. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
I'm trying. Not really. I've read it in like a month. But now that school started, I probably
Yeah.
go through it pretty fast.
Yeah. Ah! Okay. Stardust, please. End my suffering.